Well, it's good to be home for a couple more hours. And, I look at so far, I guess I got to give you a little rundown where we are, what we've been. But I thought coming off the Bahamas, I thought we played a lot of good basketball. Unfortunately, the bad basketball we play caught us, but I thought we did a lot of good things there. I thought we played some good minutes against St. John's, a lot of good minutes most of the first half against Baylor, and really a lot of the game against very good Wichita State team. So I think we made some progress. Still got a lot of deficiencies that you can see. Um, some of them are caused by the fact that I think we've played 5 teams now that'll be NCAA teams. There's no question in my mind. But what I like most about the Wichita State game is I did not feel like the second half of Baylor we competed. And I don't say that very often. And so then I came up with the, big line of, are we fatigued? Are we tired? Is it, some of it's my fault, all this stuff that seemed to create some controversy both in a positive and negative way. It was just the truth. I mean, I don't know. And so we really challenged our guys that night and the next morning. And probably one of the greatest things happened in the whole trip was they responded. I think when you get a team to respond, that's part of building. It's part of the same way you build your defense better, your offense better. Getting them to respond to some controversy is maybe as critical as anything. In our last 5 games, we've had a lot of one-day and no-day preps, 2-day preps at the longest. Very difficult for a young team. And I saw some progress compared to, maybe the short turnarounds and how, again, I'm basing a lot on the Wichita State game because how we responded after that loss was exciting. And I've seen a lot of that in the same way, we lost the lead. But if you look at, back in the tournament we were in, the way it happened to Louisville, Gonzaga the other night, it just seems to be a lot of it going on. And maybe it's because of youth. Maybe it's because of there's more better games early in the year now than there used to be. But our guys are excited to go to Duke. Yesterday we had the longest, best practice I've had in 3 years. As far as, we put a lot of time in. It was a day we could do that. You could see in the practice that they were focused in and excited, and I think we got some things done. But as far as Duke goes, been a lot of attention given to who's out. But I think there's 5 or 6 McDonald's guys still there. And unfortunately, they're the ones with a lot of experience. We remember back to Grayson Allen almost beating us single-handedly in the Final Four when he came out of nowhere and just became this missile that got to the lane, got to the basket about as well as anybody. And him and Kennard, you have 2 guards that are very dangerous. They can score in a lot of ways from outside on drives and kicks. I think one of the most impressive guys that I've seen improve has been Jefferson. He was out all last year. Him and Matt Jones are 2 guys that don't get as much publicity in some ways, but they're guys that have done very well for him so far. With Jefferson at 6'9" or so, 10, he can cover a lot of different people. He can switch. He can do a lot of different things. Of the newcomers that are playing, I saw Frank Jackson a lot this summer and out of Utah, and he is a very, very good player. He's led the team in scoring in 3 games. He kind of reminds me of a Kyrie Irving, that he can beat you with a shot and he can beat you getting to the basket. He's been very, very impressive. And I guess the hardest part about playing Duke is, they're very good at getting in the lane, drawing fouls. They're, I think, scoring 20 points at the free throw line a game, and that's a lot. And so we'll see if we can shore up some of our defending without fouling, which we've done a better job of in some cases. And then, of course, our other nemesis has been the turnovers, and we're going to have to continually correct that, which I think we've made some progress. It wasn't for that little pressing situation, which I don't give Wichita State's press as much credit as maybe I should, but it was more what we didn't do than what they did do. We weren't lined up well. We had not been pressed very much and hadn't worked on it a ton, and so that gave us something to do yesterday also. So a lot of stuff, questions I'll answer.
Tom, I know you want your team to face every opponent like they're Duke, but the point of the matter is they're young, and that's not always reality. Can a tired team coming off a big practice like you just have, can playing a Duke at Duke help more than it being a team of lesser quality?
I don't think there's any question it could. Like I said, it's been a bizarre year. And what I learned about the scheduling that everybody or some people took wrong, I would not change who I scheduled. The amount of time in between and the amount of distance I would change, because I think it created three issues: no practice time, no film time, and very little rest time. And for a young team, that's not healthy, And but as far as who we're playing, I mean, this will now be the sixth NCAA opponent, in my humble opinion, that will have played in the first 8 games. I'm not sure that's ever happened here. I'm not sure it's ever happened almost anywhere. So our guys are getting more excited and realizing what they haven't been doing and what they need to do to be successful consistently. And I think that's going to still benefit us. Has there been some lumps? Yeah, there has been. Has there been some tough times? Yes, there has been. But it's been exciting to see a team bounce back too. We really did bounce back down in the Bahamas. We played more minutes of better basketball, and that's one of the things we got to do. Then we really bounced back after the tough loss, where I thought we got really punished in that second half of the Baylor game, and I didn't think we responded as well as I'd like us to. So the challenge went out, and I thought the response to the challenge was phenomenal. And so now we got to get back, and we're always challenging, it seems like. But playing a team like Duke, who I have great respect for, playing down there, it'd be a great opportunity for our kids. It's one of those arenas, one of those historic places that should be on everybody's bucket list, And as Tom said to me, how can it get any better? You give me a chance to play in the Bahamas, my home. Players got to go over to his house. It was one of the more awesome things I've gotten a chance to do, and you give me a chance to play at Duke, And if you look at it that way and not in awe of it, but in excitement with it, then I think it's nothing but a positive.
Tom.
Okay. I'm sorry.
With the younger guys, you talk about the lack of practice and not getting some of the early results that they would hope to. How do you deal with them? Not getting too down, not realizing it's not the end of the year, especially with Josh specifically.
Yeah, that was my biggest worry. With Josh, it's been hard because he's not in a good enough shape, and he's not in, the practice time he missed because of the injury in a critical period of your, it set him back a little bit. But he's doing some better things. He just, for him and Cassius, it's been hard to realize just how hard you have to play for a continuous stretch of time. And if you don't, you get exposed, And but they're both getting better at it. And, for Cassius to step up late in that game and hit a big 3, for Josh to, we started him for a couple of reasons. One, to sort of try to get him going, but one, to get somebody coming off the bench and giving us some offense, which McQuaid did. I'm not sure which way we're going to go this week, to be honest with you, yet. Some of that will be determined after today's practice. I might start one, might start the other. But it won't be because anybody did something so much more or somebody did something so much less. It's try to put the right group together and try to get the right people coming off the bench, which is another area that we have to do a better job as a staff. Those Miles forced me to give him some rest in that last game. But I was really worried about what you're saying. I was really worried that we could really get clobbered in some of those games and lose and then get down. But I think they feel like they could have, should have beat Arizona. And I feel like they feel we've competed for more than a little stretch of those other 2 games we lost. And so I think it's become more positive than negative, at least in their mind, and my mind it has. But that was a big concern, because as I always argued with Dick Vitale, what's more, confidence or competition? Well, he always thought competition, and so do I. But this day and age, with my new Twitter commercials and all that, there's so much heaped on these kids that I think confidence is a big factor. But I do think we've gotten some confidence over the teams we've played because of how we've played in stretches. Getting that consistency is the next step for Michigan State basketball.
You alluded to with Josh going into Langford. How did you feel that McQuaid responded coming off the bench there? I mean, are you looking?
Well, he hit 2 or 3 big threes right off the bat, and I don't know if he responded well for that reason, but I think McQuaid, we're trying to work on getting him more in shape too. Just for all the time he missed, and it's getting better. I don't know if coming off the bench, I really haven't had time to talk to him about it because it's been prepare, but that'll be something that whatever we decide tonight, him and I and Josh will talk about it, and then moving forward, we'll really, Dwayne Stevens and I'll try to sit there and really look at things on those substitution by minutes and all the things that we feel we haven't been able to do that we can get better at, and that'll help determine whether, remember when we started Tum and brought Trice off the bench. It wasn't that Tum was a better player, it's just that it worked out better. We didn't start Morris. I mean, over the years, whoever starts, it's not always because they're the best players, what I'm trying to say. And in this case, it wasn't a demotion for one or a promotion for the other. It was a circumstance that we were trying to look at. But I thought he played, pretty good coming off. I still think that we need Josh and Cassius to really lift their game a little bit. Part of that will be staying in the game. Both of them had severe foul trouble in the games, in most of the games they've played in, and that's put them on the bench more minutes than they should, instead of averaging, in the mid-20s or low, 22, 23, they're averaging 16, and partially because of the foul trouble they've been in.
Tom, between the travel, the quality opponent, the schedule, this has kind of been a baptism by fire for your younger guys. So now you're almost through it, especially after Duke on Tuesday, things calm down a little. What have you seen growth-wise from these young guys in the first 3 weeks?
Well, I think one thing is the survival that we just talked about, that they've survived it. They haven't gotten down, they haven't hung their heads, they aren't moping, they're not they're coming to meetings, ready to learn. They've come into the walkthroughs, the few meetings and walkthroughs we could have. Been very upbeat. I think Tom has helped that a lot. He's helped bring those freshmen along. But it's been such a whirlwind, I'm not sure they've had time to think about losing a game or what they've done. It's just been one after another. We'll have some problems once we get back from Duke. Now how do we adjust to being home all the time, get back into the school thing. That's been difficult for them. And then playing opponents that aren't rated as high, are you going to start playing the opponent? Are you going to start playing, to get better? I mean, so there'll be issues. I don't expect anything to be sane until after Christmas, but that's probably the way John Calipari feels, and I'm sure Mike feels a little bit right now. When you're playing a lot of freshmen, that's one part of it. When you've had injuries like, at least 2 of us have had, that's another part of it. So I think we're progressing, not at the rate I'd like to. If we would have if the layup goes in for us and doesn't go in for them and you beat Arizona and you're sitting here at 4-2, are you feeling completely different? Probably fans would, and maybe media that hasn't seen us would. For me, it would probably be no different because we got the same warts and we got the same strengths. We got to diminish the warts and we definitely got to increase the strengths. And we are doing that in some ways. Our break was a lot better. We started scoring points off our break. We felt like a couple of those games we weren't running very well. We're rebounding better. I thought that the game here against Florida Gulf Coast, we were awful. We stood around a lot. And we did a better job, even though Baylor out-rebounded by 6 or 7. They were big. And, that's one of the other funny things is we have played the biggest teams that I think we've ever played with one of our smallest teams. So we've had to adjust to that. And I think that's working out pretty good. We're cutting out better now. We're starting to do some things a little better when we watch the film than we were doing early.
Tom, kind of a broad question about Miles. You've long talked about the past Flintstones and how they come in and have that tough, gritty attitude. Did that change with Miles not staying in Flint? Did that change his game? And I'm not not for the positive or negative here. Just did it change his game? Is it any different?
That is a good question. I never thought about it. I think Miles is a tough kid that doesn't play with the same. He's got to learn to play even harder, longer, more physical, because he's a physical kid. And maybe being out of Flint hurt that a little bit. Maybe there are other things that helped him being out. I don't know that. I just know this, that all he still talks to me about is winning, getting better. Get texts from the kid, stay on me, push me harder. I gotta do more. I honestly have been very pleased with Miles, both as how you can coach him and what he's done. And I honestly think he hasn't even scratched the surface. Now that sounds ridiculous when you're averaging 17 and 9, but there's so many lapses in games and things that I think he can do better, and he thinks he can do better. That if we can just, keep getting time to watch it, see it, learn from it, because he's a very smart kid, we're going to get improvement. The issue is going to be we got to get improvement from some other guys. We can't have Aaron, having 25, 30-point games and 4 and 5-point games. That consistency has to improve. I thought we need to improve Kenny again. I thought he played really well in our first 2 games. And I didn't think played as well then in the next couple games. So he's got to, and there's a lot we're asking of him. As far as what he's got to do. Nick Ward, on the other hand, is continuously making improvements, but probably has the most improvements to make. But, God, I love the way he's not afraid of contact, not afraid to mix it up. Wants the ball, wants to score. We got to slow him down a little bit. He's in some ways, but he has been a pleasant surprise. I mean, he's playing way above where I thought he would when we got him. So Miles is he's got the one thing that all the Flintstones had. He's got a tremendous will to win, and he wants to improve, and he wants to get better. And he's got some things that some of them didn't have. That's a plus for him, and he's got tremendous skill level. I watch him shoot now, and his shot, I think it's going in every time he shoots it. His form and everything is phenomenal. He just needs reps. If you look at even his assist-to-turnover ratio, it's not great because of the 11 turnovers against Kentucky. If that was just a normal 3 or 4, his assist-to-turnover ratio would be phenomenal too. So he's able to do a lot of different things. What we're working on now, can he post up better? Can he be more effective in there? And can he continue to guard better? And he's going to have to guard guards now in this next game, and it'll be interesting to see, how he does. But I'm betting on Miles. I've been really excited and pleased the way he's responded to wins, responding to losses, responding to unbelievable halves like he had here, the one game, and disappointing ones like he did at Kentucky. He's responded well to all of them, not hanging his head, not blaming other people, not doing the things that so many kids do nowadays. I've been blessed with Miles.
Real quick follow-up, and that's where I was going when you mentioned, the shooting aspect of this game, like you feel like it's going in. Maybe that is this game more refined maybe than
know, you're going to have a hard time getting me to bow down to all these kids moving around. There were some things I think he gained, but there were some things I think he missed out on too. And at the end of the day, I don't know. You know, that'd be a good question to ask Miles, you know. But I am not ready to sell Flint out on that or any other high school in the state of Michigan. Some of it is where you play and some of it is who you are. And I think in his case, when a kid's in here at 6:30 in the morning most of September and October working on his shot, I think some of it is in the makeup of who you are too. So, I mean, hopefully coaching helps you some, hopefully, but in the end of the day, looking in the mirror and being self-motivated and doing the things that you got to do is really what's going to make you a better player.
Tom, you've been beating yourself up over the schedule the last few days, but not to throw you a crutch. If you'd have known you didn't have those two bigs, would you still be beating yourself up? Would things be different in terms of tiredness?
I think the biggest problem is, you know, not only that, but Didi and the transfer of Marvin, who was just back for a week, was with us this last week before we left. But you know, when the schedule's made, those bodies are all here. And as I said, you know, yeah, I don't think I've beaten myself up. I think I've been honest. And some media members took that one way, and some media members took it as an excuse. And I just said to them, and I'll say it to you, since you guys weren't all with us, some were, but not all of you. It's not fair to demand something of kids when they don't get a chance to work on it. And the schedule I knew would be brutal travel-wise. I just did not look at it from a standpoint of how much practice time we wouldn't get, film time we wouldn't get. And really, you know, I heard somebody on TV say, well, they're 18, 19-year-old kids, they should be able to go. And that's true. If everything was equal, if the teams you were playing were doing the same things. But, you know, you come back from Hawaii, some of you might have went on your honeymoon there. Looking at most of you probably didn't. But, you know, some of you might have gone there and visited. When you come back from those kind of trips, it's tough. And so the excuses that I'm making are not excuses for me. They're excuses that I'm giving my kids a hall pass on, that they did not get to work on as much stuff because of the lack of practice time. And that is my fault. And I took the sword for that because I talked about earlier to my staff, we got to look at this more in an NBA way, get more in early and then work from that. Well, we had some injuries early. And we didn't have some guys back that we thought we'd have early. So we didn't do that as well as I think I should have. And that's why I don't need any pity from anybody, and I don't need anybody telling me I did the right thing. I'm just trying to state, if I think my players need to be blamed, I've proven over 20 years I sure as hell blame them. I sure as hell get on them. And if I think it's me, I think I've been decent at saying, you know what, you didn't do your job. And this is a case where really no party's to blame. It just worked out this way. You can't prepare for injuries. Duke can't prepare. They've got a lot of injuries. You went into a territory that you didn't know enough about, meaning that much travel. It just worked out that way. But we're 4-3. We've played more good basketball than bad as of late. We're making some progress. We are the luckiest group of human beings on the planet compared to football because one mistake doesn't end the year. And as I sit in my staff meetings and say, you know, as I do to some of you that are good friends of mine, why do I do this? You know, Brian Gregory said something pretty cool to me today, you know. Why do you worry about things when it's won you a lot of games? And we were talking about other things. And that is the truth, you know. We've built our program on this. The military thing is something that I just feel in my heart I should do. It changed my life when I went over to Kuwait. So I'm a little bit sentimental to that. The chance to go to the Bahamas and bring Tom home, I wouldn't. The day at the school, from what I heard, I did not go to his house. All the players went there on a bus. Was unbelievable. I wouldn't trade the world for that. The chance to play in Madison Square Garden. It's not who I scheduled. I'd schedule the same teams. I just think it hurt us a little bit on the amount of travel and the lack of practice time. So if we could end it at there to say that that's what I'm upset with me about. If I scheduled the same and I could spread it out more, I think it would have been very beneficial. Or, I think Mike does a great thing at Duke. A lot of times he starts out the season playing 2 back-to-back games. It's so you can get some games out of the way. I had reporters ask me, do you think they should expand the amount of time you have? Because it's getting shrunk down pretty good now with finals and different things. It doesn't leave for a lot of, we're becoming like the NBA in that respect, because everybody's playing better games. There's more tournaments. There's more things going on. So I think we just got to take a better look at it. Rest assured, even though I do beat myself up on how many good teams we play every year, and this could go down as one of the best, but it's not going to change as far as who we play. It's going to change as far as when we play them and how we do it. And that would be my way of ending that. Yes, Jimmy.
You talked a little bit about the harm of what's gone on so far. What about the health? I mean, because of who you've played and the circumstances, guys like Miles have learned that you got to make earlier contact in the post on defense, and Josh can't be rising up to contest shots and get foul trouble. Cassius can't drift on defense, and even like Nick Ward against St. John's when you're getting trouble with the ball screen, he squeezed it and didn't allow a split late in the game. Some of those things they would not have learned, and even though the things have come quick, and you've seen some progress and lessons there, how can that help you here? Because you're already seeing some of that help, aren't you?
Oh, I'm seeing a lot of it. When you play the good teams, like I said, you get exposed. And the exposure is going to help you. Because if you don't know, in anything in life, the scary part is not the known, it's the unknown. And there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to know. And that's going to bother me right now. But if I had it the unknown, then there'd be a false sense of security. And I don't have to worry about that. I've been surprised. We faced a lot of things. We didn't face a lot of zone defenses yet. We faced a little bit in the Baylor game. And actually, that first half, they played zone, and we played one of our better halves of basketball for most of that game. So we got pressed a little bit, and we looked like fish out of water. And we'll do a better job on that. That won't happen again. So yeah, I think in a lot of ways, guys, if it wasn't, this has been great, and our guys have been great. It's just been a little more than I thought it was going to be, in other areas than I thought it was going to be. But man, coming there yesterday and having a good long practice and doing things and being able to stop things and talk about things. I think they understand them more now. Yeah, but when we did this, guys, they did this and it hurt us. If I wasn't able to say that, I don't think it would have been as effective. So I'm just taking it from here. I said what I said. Whether you believe it or don't believe it, I understand. But I feel comfortable in my own skin here. I feel comfortable that I have a good pulse on what's happened. And sticking up for the players, I'll do it once in a while. Somebody indicated that I did it to take the heat off them. I put enough heat on my players. Don't worry about me trying to take it off them. If I'm taking it off them, there's probably a good reason. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Grayson Allen may not play in this game. How does that change your prep if he's got a re-aggravated toe injury, if he can't play, and how does that change them?
I don't know. I didn't hear that, but I mean, to be honest with you, right now, he hasn't been playing as well. I think he hurt his ankle earlier in the year. If anybody here knows that, I think it was an ankle. Right? You're the Dookie. Do you know? Okay. So he was shooting like 29% from the three. He was, he's a important factor to their team. I don't think there's any question that last year he had a monster player of the year, but hasn't played quite as well lately, I think, because of the injury. I have no idea because I don't know how bad it is. I don't know how much it affected him. I don't know. I know this. He's a damn good player, and he can beat you off the bounce. He's a better athlete. I said that Grayson Allen, yes, Tyus Jones had a good game in that, but he was the one that changed our game in the NCAA tournament as a freshman, and he hadn't been having that good a year. He's a competitive, tough kid. But they got some players, and I don't think they'll be short of talent, no matter who they have.
Tom, based on the program's history with Duke, and you're talking about the team and they struggle early in the season, is there more emphasis placed on this Duke game, or do you treat it as just another game?
Well, it's not another game. It's our chance to measure ourselves. What we've been talking to our guys a lot about lately is consistency. Consistency. Can we consistently perform at a level? Why are we going up and down a little bit? Well, I don't think there's any question that Duke over 20 years has been the most consistent team in America. So that's what I'm kind of aiming for. We have a consistent team, a consistent program, a first-class program that we're going up against. So it is a bigger game. I'm all for I love George. They all count one. Some count a little more than one. And I know we're not supposed to say that and do that as a coach. We're not supposed to, this game shouldn't mean any more than that game at the end of the year. They sort of don't, because a win's a win, but it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to go against some of the best players in the country. It's an opportunity to go against arguably the best coach, the most consistent coach in the country. I love our home setting. I like Duke's, but if you looked at it, it's an opportunity for your kids to play in a setting that is respected by a lot of people, admired by a lot of people. It's one of those traditional places. So, it won't just be another game. And if, win or lose the game, you got to move forward and it's over. In that respect, it's another game. But if guys aren't a little more excited, a little more nervous, a little more pumped, then there's something wrong with you.
I was kind of going in that direction. I was going to go back to
Just copying him.
never. No, it was more along the lines of Duke. Obviously, you haven't won at Duke. Would winning there mean anything more to you, or is it just kind of worrying about this team?
It's a bucket list.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list. Yeah, sure. We haven't played I shouldn't say that. We haven't beaten Duke much. There's been some dogfights now. I think the worst game was here. And the second worst was the second half of our game in the NCAA tournament. But there's been a lot of dogfights, and they've won them, and deservingly so. But it's one of the things you want to do when you're in a situation where you're 1-8 against an opponent. You want to go down there and play well. You want to go down there and play well for your team. You want to go for the players, and you want to go for your program. But there's a reason we've lost to them too. They got a damn good program and good team and good players and good coach. So the nice thing about this game is, to our freshmen, they have no preconceived. Nobody, the only guys that have even played against them were Tom and Elvin. I look back, and I think we started Elvin and Gavin in that game 2 years ago or 3 years ago in Indianapolis, and Gavin's out, so Tom's the only guy that played much in that game. Freshmen don't know about anything, and we're going to educate them on the things they should know, and we're going to let them just fly from the seat of their pants on things they don't know. And I'm, as I said, I'm excited to go down there. I think we're in a decent place considering what we've been through. I think we really are. They've got some issues too. I mean, they've got 3 really good players sitting out. Let's not kid anybody here. When I looked at Kentucky and when I looked at Kansas and when I looked at what I think Duke's going to be, I do think they're the best team in the country. We've got some injuries. They've got some injuries. But that is a very good team still, but I think potentially a phenomenal team, maybe one of his best if things work out. Anybody else? Oh, thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
He got it.